Hey guys, it's Eric here at Farpoint Mowers and Mower. Today, work on the mutt is continuing. I've got this. This is the Speedway Motors brand. I got this used on eBay, although honestly when I opened it up, it looks like it's never been touched. It is a throttle pedal for my mower to ATV conversion, the multi-use tactical tractor. If you've been following the series, you know what I mean. If you haven't, welcome aboard. I've got a whole series on converting a $50 riding mower into a $250 ATV. So this is what we're going to install today. And there's not a ton to it, although obviously this is not made for use. This is more of a go-kart piece, but it comes with everything we will need to convert this over. It comes with our cable, a couple of brackets, and some modifications are going to be needed, but I'm going to cover all that with you. Now, the only thing that I have gone ahead and done before I started filming is I removed the air cleaner box and this, which is like the housing, bolts up to the carburetor. This is not necessary. I did this because I wanted to make it a little easier when I'm filming to show you all what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do first is we are going to find some places and we're going to drill holes. We have to put 3 holes in the bottom so our throttle sits where we want it to sit. Once we've got that in place, we're ready to move on to the actual cable, and this should not be a difficult task. Let's do it. All right, so here's what comes in the box a little closer up. We have our throttle control here, and so we've got 1, 2, and 3 holes that we're going to need to fit so we can bolt this thing down. Here's our throttle, and this is where our cable goes into. Right here, you can see it's already set up from the factory, and you've got 2 washers. You want to take this, which is already set up from the factory, and you're going to loop that around. If I can separate these with one hand here, I think I can. There we go. You're going to separate it like that and get it into there, like so, right? Then, I'll set this aside for a second. The kit also comes with 2 nuts, bolts, and washers, 2 places to hold our throttle cable, 2 small cotter pins, and a throttle return spring here like this. This part here we probably won't be using on our particular kit, but we're going to make some modifications and we'll see how that goes. But I do need to do first, before I even set this thing up here, is I'm going to attach this. I'm going to slide it over. If I can get on here, there we go. I'll just slide this up and over, and then we'll slide it back, and we're going to place that as close as I can get it, there we go, through that side hole there. And so one of our nuts, bolts, and washers will get used right like so. Matter of fact, I'm not sure I need the washer for that. And you don't want to go crazy on tightening this down because we are going to make some adjustments. I am going to tighten it, but I also understand that as time goes on, I'm going to need to loosen that up and make some adjustments. So there you go. There's your first. There's your first. You can also adjust this up or down so full throttle is not as high. Of course, on this one, it's pretty much going to be the way it is. But I just want to show you that. Now, your mower will be different, but I have to find my placement. I'm going to pop some holes in it. I've got some nuts and bolts and stuff that I keep, and I'm going to hopefully be able to find, so I got like random assorted nuts and bolts here. So hopefully I can find some shorties here, drill some holes, and be able to bolt that down to the pedal area where I want it. And it's going to be different. So yours might be closer in, mine are going to be fairly towards the front. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is figure out where you want to place it. Now you could move it farther forward if you wanted to. In fact, I'm probably going to put mine right about there. All right, and I can bolt that down in there. I wanted it far forward and as far out as I can. So I'm going to hold that in place. And while I do that, I've got a black magic marker here. I'm going to push down and hopefully get that in there. And then I'll do the other 2 as well. All right, you can see that I've made my marks. So the next thing I'm going to do here is drill it. And for that, I've got just an old 1/4-inch drill bit. I managed to find a couple of random nuts and bolts. And so that's what I'm going to be doing here next, is just trying to figure out where exactly I want that mess to go. But we'll get that drilled in here. I'll show you it attached. We'll move to the other side. The only other thing that did not come with this kit that you're going to need if you want to use one of these on a lawnmower is you are going to need to have a spring, a return spring, because these things are set to be at a throttle and stay at that throttle. We're going to want it to pull back. And in order to do that, we'll just grab a spring. And sometimes you can use the spring that's on the deck you know, when you remove the deck on these, so that's a possibility as well. But we'll get there in a second. Let me go ahead and drill these holes and we'll go from there. That's where we wanted it, that's where we got it. So all the way down on this is going to be choke, so we don't want to ever floor it, but about half throttle, about where I've got it sitting there, that's going to be go. And the positioning is just about where I want it to. My legs are sitting at a normal length here for it. And if I want to put my foot off to the side, if I'm just letting it idle, it's not going to be tripping on that or getting on it in a way that's going to be bothersome. Okay, now we need to adjust and figure out where we're going to put our throttle cable to get it hooked up. This cable is much longer than it needs to be, but we'll figure out how to go ahead and place that here on the other side. So let's go over there and take a look at that side of this project. And you'll see this project isn't going to take a ton of time to get wrapped up. All right, so here's our new throttle cable, and we're going to have to tuck that in back here. The good news is it does fit without any trimming. You can see it's going to go right there, basically in exactly the same spot as the original. But we do need to remove this part here. And so that's just a flat blade screwdriver. I'll go ahead and loosen that up, and we're going to get rid of our old throttle by just taking it out. You can actually uninstall it if you want to, but for me, there seems to be no real reason not to just leave it in place. Now, if I wanted to add some switches or something on the dashboard eventually, like up here, well, I can always go back and take it out, but I can also leave it in place, and that will allow it to be something if I want to go back to stock, all the components will still be there. There we go. All right, so that we're just going to tuck away in here where it won't get in the way. So now we have where we hook up, and then we have our throttle cable attachment. You do notice that where we do run into an issue when doing these installs is there's no hook. So we have to feed this in a way that's going to come through here that we can hook onto this without damaging anything. We don't want to hurt our cable or this piece of plastic. And so this one, what we're going to do here is I'm going to bend this as lightly as I can just to feed it up through this center crack. And it may be hard for you to see what I'm doing here, but when it comes through, I'll show you a close-up of it. All right, I don't know how well you can see it, but I've got this attached. I've got the cable. I had to widen this hole out. I used a 1/4 inch drill bit, and I opened that hole up a little bit, ran it up through. I did have like 2 or 3 pieces that frayed off, but I did end up using that barrel connector just to hold this in place so it wouldn't fold back through. There's more than one way to do this. You can use hose clamps. You can use a lot of different ways to do this, but for me, that's how it went. Now, we do have a hole right there, impossible for you to see, but there is a teeny hole, and there is a little hook right here. It's almost like they had it set up in case they needed it to be under spring load. Last time I did this, I used the spring from the mowing deck, and so it was a much larger setup, and I ended up having to use a spring that went like all the way from here down to there. Hopefully, I've got a couple springs. I'm going to try to find one that will fit through that hole and hook around that and give me enough tension to pull that back when I am not in use. The last thing I'll do is I'll put some grease right there so that when this thing slides back and forth, it is unburdened by like rust and gunk and everything. Here's the spring I came up with. I have no idea where this even came from, but what we're going to try to do here is I'm going to bend one side of this out enough that I can use it as a hook to get it in through that little teeny hole, if I can do so. There, see the hook? So I will now try to get that through that teeny hole. There we go, it's starting to go. Okay, and then we'll feed that into place. Oh, I don't know, that's not going to be long enough, see? It needs to be much shorter than that in order for that to work. So I'll have to hook it further out. I'm not sure where I can go. Let's just see though. Yeah, it'd have to be, I'd say I'd have to cut it to about there. That way, when I push down the throttle, she's pulling back. Okay, so it is a sound idea, but this spring is too long. So my choices here are to try to cut it, which I don't think is going to be a very grand idea, but it may be all I have. So let me see if I can modify this on the bench to see if I can cut that down some. Wish me luck, about half that length is what I need. Now again, I'm going to try to hook this through my little hole here. Okay, and then I'm going to push that end, pull it out a little bit, and we'll push that end up and over. Oh boy, let's see what we got here. Bingo. Nice. Okay, so that is the hard part. The easy part from here on out is, like I said, I'm going to get some lube in here. Then I'm going to put my covers back on, and I'm going to fire this up, and we'll make any last minute adjustments. This actually looks fairly good right from the go. We just start to get our choke engaged at full wide open throttle, and all other adjustments can come from the other side, because you can see here, full throttle, I still have a little ways to go. I could pull farther, right? So I can move this back. Matter of fact, I'll just do that. I'll slide this just slightly back. Well, I'd say like so. And tighten her down again. Yeah, now I'm getting at full open throttle, I'm getting choke engagement. So that should be a good spot for me right there. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to need a whole lot more work. Okay, let's get the cover back on. Let's fire it up. And because I am cheap, and you never know what next project might bring, I'm going to hang on to that other half. There's nothing wrong with that. I can probably use it for another project. Cool. All right, here we go.